My sermon this morning was inspired by a sign that I saw someone carrying at the Bozeman No Kings demonstration in June. I know some of you were there. The sign was simple, with just 3 words. Love trumps fear. The sign reminded me of a sermon I shared here at UUFB in October of 2016. That sermon, coincidentally, was titled, Love Trumps Fear. With the current situation in our nation and the world today, I decided it was important to revisit this topic. Anyone who has been attending to the news the past few months knows that there is a significant amount of very disturbing stuff happening in our country and around the world of late. In this country, politicians have been killed because of the party they belong to. Judges who decide cases based on the law instead of on the insistence of the current administration in the White House find themselves being denigrated and threatened. In numerous countries around the world, people are fleeing their homes because they are threatened by armed gangs, violent extremists, armies from neighboring countries, or even their own government. With all of the violence and threats of violence that are occurring, the reaction that many people are having is both predictable and understandable. When a threat is either experienced or perceived, a typical response is to feel fear. Today, many people in our country are feeling fearful. That fear can be seen in any number of ways. People who still work for the federal government, and those who work in programs that are funded by federal grants are rightfully concerned about whether their job will be abruptly terminated. Increasing numbers of low-income people are worried about how they will be able to get food for themselves and their families, as federal funding for food assistance has recently been cut significantly. Undocumented immigrants avoid going out of their homes because of the threat that they may be arrested and deported. Even major news organizations have changed how they cover political news, as they seek to avoid being sued or denied access to White House news briefings. I could cite many, many more examples of how fear is permeating so many aspects of life in our nation. I am concerned and feel compassion for the people who are living in fear today. I am concerned and troubled by what I believe is a concerted effort on the part of some people to instigate and instill as much fear as possible to satisfy their own desire for power and control. I'm concerned and troubled by this because encouraging and instigating fear can cause more harm than good. We all know that shouting fire in a crowded movie theater where no fire exists can get people hurt or even killed. It is important then that all of us, and especially those who are in the public spotlight, refrain from fanning the embers of fear to create an inferno that may engulf people who are innocent bystanders. We may not realize it, but fear, especially inappropriate or unjustified fear, may pose more of a threat to us than that which we are fearful of. Fear has the ability to generate and hold an incredible amount of emotional charge. And fear especially intense fear, can cause people to act in ways that are irrational and at times destructive. Fear triggers what is often referred to as the fight or flight response. The flight response causes the panicked rush to the exits when someone shouts fire in a crowded movie theater. The fight response is intended to protect us from imminent harm by preparing us to engage the threat in battle. That is what it is supposed to do. But when we are fearful, our ability to accurately identify what is a threat from what isn't a threat may be significantly compromised. That is because when we feel fearful, the part of our brain where we think things through and make conscious decisions takes a back seat to the portion that reacts almost instantaneously. And the fight or flight response aren't the only reactions fear can trigger. Fear can also cause us to freeze. You may have heard the phrase, frozen in fear. Fear can stop us from taking appropriate action when doing so could prevent unnecessary harm from occurring. Now let me be clear here. I am not implying that fear is bad and doesn't have its place. Fear is an important emotion, one that has helped our species reach the point we are at today. Fear has its place and time. My concern is about fear that is fueled or fostered at an inappropriate place or time, such as when fear is used to further an ideology instead of to help people survive and thrive. In this time of heightened fear and fiery rhetoric, we need an option that allows us time to rest. An option that lets us step out of the fear so we can fully use all parts of our brain and feel our full range of emotions. We need an alternative that can offer us both a clearer mind as well as hope for the future. There are very likely a number of options that would fill the bill. From both my training and experience as a licensed clinical social worker, I know that cognitive behavioral approaches can be helpful in combating irrational fear. My training and experience have also shown me that having an emotional alternative to fear can be beneficial as well. Today, I want to focus on one such emotional alternative that is deeply embedded in the Judeo-Christian tradition, and that tradition is where the taproot of Unitarian Universalist resides. It is from these religious traditions that I find an alternative which is both as powerful as and often more beneficial than fear. The alternative I'm referring to is no surprise to those of you who noticed my sermon title. That alternative is love. Love, like fear, can hold a very strong emotional charge. And like fear, certain kinds of love can cause us to act irrationally. Even though I am over 70, I still recall some of the less than well thought out choices I made early in my life as a result of falling in love. Can I get an amen for that? Yes. That romantic type of love, called eros in Greek, didn't always allow me to use both my head and my heart when making decisions. The kind of love I'm referring to when I propose we choose love over fear is not romantic love. Instead, the kind of love I'm referring to is what the Greek word agape identifies. Agape is considered to be the highest type of love. Love that is unselfish, altruistic, and charitable. From my studies of various religious traditions, this is the type of love that a good number of great spiritual teachers have advocated. Among those teachers are the Buddha and Jesus. In the Buddhist tradition, loving kindness is considered to be one of the divine abidings or sublime states. A Buddhist practitioner is encouraged to meditate on and practice loving kindness in every aspect of life. In the book of John, Jesus gave a new commandment to his disciples. He instructed them to love one another as he had loved them. In the book of Matthew, he told his disciples to love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. I can't be certain, but I believe this particular verse is the basis for the bumper sticker I've seen on numerous occasions, which says, "When Jesus said, 'Love your enemies,' I'm pretty sure he didn't mean kill them." I imagine that most, if not all of you, would agree when I assert that there is currently an overabundance of fear in the world. Fear that can quickly and easily lead to viewing others as an enemy and a threat. When we go into the fight response in reaction to our fear, people can end up getting hurt or even being killed. Today, our world could benefit from considerably less fear, especially unnecessary or inappropriate fear. And what a positive difference it would make if there was more love, the kind of love that Jesus and the Buddha spoke of. Now, I realize that developing and manifesting the kind of love I'm talking about can be quite difficult. Some might even say that it is impossible to attain and consistently demonstrate this kind of love. We are, after all, merely human. Yes, we are merely human. And yes, this type of love may be impossible for us to live into every moment of every day. I would go so far as to say that we might not even be able to live it out most moments of any given day. Just because we may be limited in our ability to feel and show such love consistently, however, doesn't mean we should give up trying to do so. Let me tell you the reasons I say this. People who study human behavior and emotions tell us that a basic function of fear is to assist us in addressing threats, real or perceived. In this way, fear may help us survive. In order for fear to be beneficial to us, though, it needs to allow us to accurately identify what is a threat and what isn't. The key word in that sentence is accurately. The problem is, as I mentioned previously, we don't tend to do this well when we feel threatened. Our story for all ages this morning provided a good example of what I'm talking about here. Jeremy Ross quickly became enemy number one because of a few behaviors that were hurtful to the story's main character. Hurt and fear of future hurt then created a wall that separated the two young boys. Luckily, there was a wise and loving adult who was able to intervene. The intervention, I will admit, was somewhat devious. It was devious, but it seems to me it was also very loving and caring. Clearly, the father loved his son who was hurt and fearful. While it may not seem obvious, the father was also caring towards Jeremy Ross. He cared enough about Jeremy Ross to do something that risked the trust between father and son. It seems to me this is an example of the kind of love that could benefit not only each of us individually, but all of us collectively. So here, in a nutshell, is why I believe choosing love over fear is important. Fear may protect us for the short term, but love is what sustains us for the long term. Fear tends to separate us. By us here, I am talking about the larger us. Love, on the other hand, connects us. Fear narrows our perceptions, while love not only expands our perceptions, but our possibilities as well. And finally, the walls, both physical and emotional, that are created out of fear eventually become a cage we lock ourselves in. And sometimes we forget where the key is. The bonds that are built with love support us and nurture us through the inevitable times of weakness, vulnerability, and uncertainty. The question then becomes, which emotion, fear or love, do we allow to play a bigger role in our lives? Which would most benefit not only just you or me, but our community, our country, and our world? As for me, I will put my faith and trust in love. My hope is that someday those who are currently promoting fear and separation will learn the lessons connected with making and sharing enemy pie. The world would be considerably better off with more of us sharing pies and fewer of us caged behind walls, whether those walls are built by others or are of our own making. It is my hope that many more people will find it within themselves to spread the love and share the pie. May it be so.